So welcome back to the Drive channel, and can you believe it? It's time for another year in review. So what I usually do is I go over the amount that I've spent to fix and maintain my cars, my 5-car fleet for the year. And I start with the most expensive and I go to the cheapest one. And the cheapest one may actually surprise you this year, but I think that the first one probably won't be very surprising. Hint, it's one of the ones behind me there. So without further ado, here they are and the amount that I spent for the year. So the most expensive car this year I'm in right now, which for the last 3 years has been the Ferrari. Now, it probably doesn't come as a lot of surprise to most people that it would be the most expensive, but I had a little bit of an issue earlier in the year where the half shaft somehow managed to fall off of the transmission, and I had no idea. I think I may have cross-threaded a bolt or something when I was doing the CV boots, but it fell off and I had no drive to any of the wheels. And I figured it was the transmission that went bad. Well, it turns out it had just fallen off and I had no drive. So I took it to the Ferrari dealer thinking I needed a new transmission because that's a little bit too much work for me. And well, it turns out it was just that. But because it was now at a dealer or at a Ferrari mechanic, was at a Ferrari mechanic, I had no choice. So I just said, all right, you could fix it. And so that was $2,500. But here's the real annoying thing. When I got the car back, I had it towed home. I didn't drive it home. When I got the car back, turns out the battery was dead. They didn't bother, the Ferrari repair shop didn't bother switching off the battery cutoff. And the car was there for like 2 months. They didn't even look at it for the first month. And yeah, they killed the battery completely. So that was another $300. Bringing the grand total for this car to $2,700 for the month. $2,700, $2,800. I'll put the correct number down below. And so the second most expensive car this year cost about $1,400. That's this car that I'm in now, the BMW, the E34 BMW wagon. And now this car, most of the money went towards the wheels. So I spent something like $1,000 or so restoring the OZ Monte Carlo wheels, which have been with the car basically since the car was new. So this car was purchased obviously in 1992, and I think the family that owned it bought the wheels right around 1995. So the wheels were desperately in need of restoration. In fact, I'd never seen wheels so bad in my life. They were as if you took them off of a car in a junkyard. But the wheels themselves were very much intact and just needed a paint. So I had the wheels powder coated, but then there was a little bit of a problem, and that was the wheels actually have a center cap, which I had to have painted separately. Even though they did their best to match it, it's not quite a perfect match, and so that's really annoying. But that was about $1,200, and the only other thing that I'm going to replace on this car is the oil level sensor for this car, and it's $303. I bought it already, so that's going to include in the 2025 price. And yeah, so that makes this car about $1,400 this year, but I suspect, knock on wood, this car is going to get a lot cheaper going forward because I just have to change the oil next year, and there's no real other major problems that this car has that I need to address, at least not yet. So the third most expensive car for me to maintain this year was this Land Rover. So I had to do a couple of maintenance things on it. I replaced the brakes. I think those were about $250 to replace the brakes in this. I also I had a check engine light on the car for years, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. So I did the thing that you're not really supposed to do, which is I threw some parts at the problem. So I replaced the fuel pressure regulator, which was only 39 bucks. And that actually took care of my check engine light, only to have the check engine light come back because the pump for the evaporation control stopped working. And I kind of figured it was probably just, it had unplugged itself because the wiring harness clip was broken. I broke it when I replaced the pump years ago. So when I was doing the brakes, I just went into the wheel well, because that's where it is, and I fixed the, I just put the wire back in, and sure enough, it worked. So I just had the emissions done on this car yesterday, and it passed. There's no check engine lights. At least at this stage in my 5-car collection, I have only one car that still has a check engine light on it. So 1 out of 5 ain't bad. That would be the Jag, by the way, which I'll talk about in a second. And so the second least expensive car that I own this year for 2025 is the Aston Martin. Now, in the last couple of years, this has actually been the winner in terms of being the cheapest car to own, but I did have to do a little bit of maintenance on the car. So I had to do an oil change, and the only thing that needed repair on the car was I had a light come on for the airbag. So I went on the chats, and according to the chats, if you have the passenger seat all the way back, sometimes it can interrupt the wiring harness underneath the seat for the airbag. So the remedy is to take the seat, move it forward maybe about a ½ inch, and then reset the light. So that's what I did. I moved the seat forward, the passenger seat forward maybe about a ½ inch, because it was all the way back against the firewall. Moved it forward, reset the light, and everything was fine. So that was a free repair for the car. And then on top of that, there was the oil change. So I believe it was like around $200. I'll put the actual number down below because I keep forgetting to memorize the number that I spent. So the second cheapest car to own. And so the cheapest car for 2025 I'm driving right now, which is the 2007 Jaguar XK. This car I spent $103 for the year. The only repair that I did in this car was the washer motor was not working for some reason, and I kind of had a feeling that when I replaced it, the splice that I did didn't last. Oh look, there's Santa. Hi Santa. It was $103 for the year to do an alignment. As you guys probably know if you watch this channel, I completely replaced all of the front components for the suspension, and even a couple of suspension components in the back. And early on in the year, it was so far out of alignment that the car was frankly dangerous. So I took the car to a professional, and they did the alignment for, I think they charged $98 plus tax, and that's it. So that leaves the grand total for the year just around $5,500, if I recall it correctly, and I'll put the correct number down below. But not too bad. So I'm averaging about $1,000 per car on average. The real expense that really should have been avoided was the Ferrari. If I had known better, I would have looked a little bit closer as to what went wrong and why I was getting no drive, and I wouldn't have just assumed that was the transmission, because that was about $2,500. That probably could have been about $300 had I done the work myself. So as usual, the takeaway from this year's car maintenance and the 5-car fleet is that you should really do the work yourself if you can. So with that, I will see you guys in the next year for new videos, and like the videos, subscribe, comment down below, because even bad comments seem to help the algorithm. So interested in knowing your opinions one way or another. And I'll see you guys in the next video.